I am currently wearing a wristband as well as a snazzy button on which are written the words Space Vixen. An honor to be sure, and to explain exactly what a Space Vixen is, I went to the source and had a lovely chat with the charming Stuart Saint and the always pleasant Mr. Ralph Bogard, who are currently taking part in the disco musical Saucy Jack and the Space Vixens at the Leicester Square Theatre. Without further introduction, here is our conversation.
Hi, my name's Ralph Bogard, and I play Jack Diath in Saucy Jack and the Space Vixens.
Hello, I'm Stuart Saint, and I am the director and choreographer and a producer of Saucy Jack and the Space Vixens.
So first, Stuart, I want to talk to you a little bit about the history of the show. Where has the show come from, and what's it about, all that stuff?
Wow, it's a really long story. It's been going for years. Saucy Jack and the Space Vixens, from what I believe, it originally began in 1995 at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. A group of students, headed up by Charlotte Mann and Michael Fiddler, were asked to write a musical for the venue. So it was actually specifically created for the Sea venue, and they created Saucy Jack and the Space Vixens, and they wanted to create something that wasn't a conventional musical theatre show in the sense of it was a bit more immersive and people could get involved with the show. And it just took off from there, really, and it exploded that year in Edinburgh as a sort of a Rocky Horror show for the millennium, can't say that word, millennium? Is that millennium?
Sounds good to me.
Eliza Millennium. And from then on, it's just had this amazing journey with several productions being put on in the West End. The first one, I believe, was at the Queen's Theatre in 1998. Hannah Waddingham was in that production, and then it did, I think it was a 2-year stint at the Arches in London Bridge, and it was an actual site-specific production. So the whole place was a club and you were immersed, and it's where the production really sits at home best, is when the audience is part of the club instead of a conventional theatre space. And then I believe it was 2006 at the venue, which is now the Leicester Square Theatre. Production was headed up with Faye Tozer playing Jubilee, the lead vixen, and the choreography was done by, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, aren't I, but Bruno from Strictly.
Oh, yes.
Darling! Yeah. And again, that was very successful, but there hasn't been a production in London since then. But there has been several productions around, in Brighton, in other parts on the outer skirts of London, and obviously in Edinburgh, it's popped up there a few times, I believe.
Excellent. Ralph, could you tell our listeners who aren't familiar with the show, what is Saucy Jack about?
Saucy Jack is about a intergalactic cabaret bar set on a planet called Frottage 3. It's headed up by a charismatic man called Saucy Jack, who has his group of misfits who help run the bar and perform nightly. But what happens is there's been a spate of murderous attacks. So these unknown cabaret artists are being slain. So unfortunately, this is bad news. Great for publicity, but bad news generally for the entertainment of the evening.
And they're being killed by a slingback heel thrust into their chest.
Yeah. So this murderer, this mystery murderer, has been named the Slingback Killer. And obviously this needs to be resolved. So these magical creatures, these Amazonian Greek muse goddesses from outer space who embrace the magic and power of glitter, who have magical boots called glitter boots, are here to crime fight and figure out who this murderer is.
And this is all done by the power of disco.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's very deep and meaningful stuff here.
It's actually based on the Greek tragedy, Greek mythology, Agamemnon.
Oh, is it really?
That's what it's based on, yeah. Very loosely, but it is. I found this out when I spoke to the original writers of it.
Oh, my goodness, okay.
Very loosely, so that's kind of where it all comes from.
What is it about this particular piece that drew you to it? Why did you want to put this on?
I came across Saucy Jack about 4 or 5 years ago. I actually can't remember how. It's really bizarre, but I know that I came across it, and I actually tried to mount a production of it many years ago, and it just didn't happen for me at the time, which was very gutting because I really love the show, and I'm very much into and prefer to stage those kind of alternate musicals like Bat Boy and Herzog and the Angry Inch and Rocky Horror Show. Very much more my vibe, the dark, the sinister, and the zany. And last Christmas I mounted an adult pantomime called Dick at the Leicester Square Theatre, and then I was employed to stay on now in a residency in the lounge space, and I was approached about putting on a summer production. What would we put on while the Edinburgh Fringe Festival was on? And Saucy Jack just came to my mind straight away, that it was something that I longed to do, but in the right space with the right people. And also Martin Witz, who is the producer of London International Arts Theatre and the Leicester Square Theatre, who's producing Saucy Jack, was very adamant of trying to use the lounge space at the Leicester Square Theatre, but not just as a cabaret and gig sort of space, trying to turn it more into a playhouse. So this was very much an experiment as well, and quite a successful one. We're really pleased with the outcome, and well, we've got a few teething troubles, like any production has, but we've got there, and it seems to be taking flight off into space quite well. So we're very, very, very happy with it.
The space has absolutely been transformed. Stuart's done a wonderful job of envisaging what you could do with the space. A lot of people who have been there before, when they come to see this, are overwhelmed at how different it looks, how wonderful it feels, and how appropriate it feels for the piece. And they really don't feel cramped or trapped or anything in there. It feels very welcoming, but intimate at the same time, which I think is perfect for this show.
Thank you, Alf. And with Saucy Jack, the action takes place around you, so as you come into the audience, you are the customers of Saucy Jack's club. So once you're in and the show starts, you are sort of as if you were sitting in the club and you're seeing it all unfold. And there's actually a big seat on the stage, which some lucky people, if you get there early enough, actually get to sit right on the stage and get involved really in the action. And it's not scary, actually. Everyone's had so much fun up there, which is great. And we've managed to build a catwalk that goes through the centre of the auditorium, which has never been done before, and it's worked out really, really well. And then once the show is over, we carry on with the disco. The bar is open, there's lots of partying, and everyone seems to jump on the stage very quickly.
Oh yeah, there's a pole and those people are spinning around it like want to be evening dancers.
We actually had a lovely gentleman last night who's a massive fan of the show, and he stripped down to his boxer shorts and was swinging around the pole last night.
Nice. I don't think we want to have it any other way. No. This is great. You set the scene wonderfully for it. It's tell us more about the interactive aspect of it, because I think that will be particularly interesting to people.
The show gets likened to that panto-esque kind of vibe. It isn't a panto, it's definitely a musical, but it's very firmly got its tongue in its cheek, and because of the audience being the customers to the Saucy Jack Cabaret Club itself, then you get the interaction from all the characters, as well as the Space Vixens and Chesty, who we've mentioned, and all the cabaret acts. We've got all the bar folk. There's characters like Booby Chevelle, Sammy Sachs, who's at the bottom of the bill. Unfortunately, he's striving to get to the top. It's literally as close as we are to you right now. That is how close you are to the action, so you can't really ignore it and not be involved. And it adds a lovely another level, and everyone seems to really, so far, so good, is really enjoy it and kind of want to get involved. Last night, for instance, we had some people dressed up as Space Vixens, and every time the famous Space Vixen Power of Disco motto was mentioned, the whole audience saluted their Space Vixen salute, which was quite a surprise and slightly unnerving, but really exciting at the same time, and it was great, really great. So it's wonderful that everyone's getting involved. It isn't in the sense of that Rocky Horror. We've had heckling, but of the good variety.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then the cast are a phenomenal cast. I'm so happy with the cast. But long selection process, and I'm so glad that we did take the time to find everyone, because they're such specific characters, and they're so skilled and natural at just interacting with the audience. The best one last night, we have to talk about this last night, it was brilliant.
What one was that?
Wonderful gentleman dressed up as one of the Space Vixens, a big blonde curly wig.
Okay. Yeah.
And Mitch has a little moment with one of the audience members, and he went up to this Space Vixen in the audience, and the wig of the Space Vixen in the audience got attached to the button of Mitch's jacket, and as he walked away, he took the wig with him. And then it happened again later on in the second half. The poor guy, but it was brilliant. The audience went with it, the characters went with it, and everyone was fantastic. It was genius, and it just adds to the show. That's what's beautiful about it. It just adds. And Ralph, he gets, because of playing the baddie in the show and playing it so well.
He's not the baddie. He's a misunderstood man.
Tell us more about your role in it, because he does sound like an interesting element.
Yeah, talking further about this interactive quality to the piece, it is set in a cabaret bar, and Jack is the MC, the host of this venue. And when you're in a venue like that, you do speak to the audience. They are part of the world you're in, and the production and the piece is designed so that, and works so well, because you are including the audience into that world. We're not forcing people to get involved. We're not scaring them into submission. It's inviting them in, and they get involved as much as they like or as little as they like, but generally they all want to by the end. They're all like putting their hands up, wanting to get involved.
Wonderful. Yeah, well, actually, it happens quite quickly, which is really the trust. It happens because of how ridiculous and how vibrant and fun the show is. It tends to happen very quickly. We're lucky enough, we have a little pre-show cabaret. We have different acts every night that warm up the crowd before we go to Planet Frottage 3 and before the show actually starts. And it's really wonderful because it gets the crowd going. They get a little bit lubricated with a drink or two or maybe three, but they're so up for it. And that's what's wonderful is they do jump in quite quickly. It's brilliant.
It's definitely got that immersive element. We've built the space is built so you're in the club. We talk to the audience like they're in the club. They are in the world of Saucy Jack. They're not just sitting there watching the show as in conventional theatre. They are part of our world, and they leave changed, whether it's through a vibro chamber or through the twisted tunnel of terror. Many ways to get in and out of Saucy Jack.
You're saying that they leave. It's quite hard to get them to leave.
It's true. They want to stay.
Well, last night on a Friday and Saturday night is also, once the show is over, we continue with the disco. Yeah. As it's the weekend. And last night was quite it went on for a long time, and it was brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, and it was wonderful. But yeah, they just seem to not want to go. There is something very special, like this show, and like many other alternative musicals or edgy rock musicals, that it's just. He just embraces you. It's very hypnotic, and it's wonderful. It's really wonderful because it's just we all like a bit of fun and silliness and escapism. And at the weekend, in the summer, and the weekend, but in the summer, it's just one of the greatest things to do, isn't it?
So we talked about a lot of the characters in the piece already, and Ralph, we've already talked about yours in a little bit of detail. Tell us more about some of the other performers we can see in the show.
We have a phenomenal cast, including Ralph. It's just I feel really lucky. We did do an extensive audition period quite early on this year, and because the characters of the show are very, very specific, and I had a very specific vision of who they were supposed to be, and you need good all-rounders, good triple threats, but also because of the audience element and the interaction with the audience, you needed people that were very, very comfortable with themselves, that could do that were very happy to do that and to enjoy the show. And the show's quite demanding in very strange ways, so to find 9 performers was quite tricky. Really? Yeah. There's many things to check off, and then obviously the different relationships, and to have the sort of balance from everybody. But I believe that we found it, and that's one of the biggest comments that we're getting, is that how strong the cast are, and for me that was the most important thing. And when the credits that the cast have got from their past productions, obviously we just spoke about Leanne Jones, having Leanne Jones, who's the original Tracy Turnblad in Hairspray, and she won an Olivier Award.
Yes, that's right.
Absolutely phenomenal. Perfect for her character. Leanne's been away for a while because she's just had a little baby boy.
So she's a new mummy.
And little Oscar, and he's been coming to rehearsal.
Yes, he's our mascot.
He's fantastic. He's he's brilliant. Actually, he's been directing, isn't he? He's been assisting me. Absolutely fantastic.
Been great advice.
And then we have the lovely Lisa Gorgon, who some people may know that Lisa was in Footloose. She's done the Rocky Horror Show, Fame, like her credits, the list goes on and on and on. Ralph, obviously, with Ralph's done recently.
Recently, I was in The Mystery of Edwin Drood, the recent revival in the West End. I also was in Spelling Bee, production of Spelling Bee. I've recently been in Vienna doing Lend Me a Tenor, and I've worked a lot also which leads into this kind of world of immersive theatre, working with Secret Cinema and Ruben Fields, doing very large-scale immersive experiences. So it's very exciting to be doing something like that in a world of musical theatre, which is where my heart is. But to combine those two things in this wonderful piece is just a treat.
And he's great at it. It's really great. And we've got the wonderful Marcus Reeves. Marcus has got a fantastic, colourful background, not necessarily always in musical theatre, but Marcus from the cabaret variety, and also he's a recording artist, and he's just about to release an album called Quicksilver. And then, the list goes on. Jamie Burkett, who a lot of people would know, she was in Cross Purpose at the King's Head recently, and also she was playing Joanna in Rent at the Greenwich Theatre. And David Malcolm, who was in Naked Boys Singing, which is on at Charing Cross Theatre. Christopher Bosch, who comes all the way from Canada, who was on Canada's Pop Idol, and he was just come off tour in Joseph. Kate Malyon. And Kate's credits as an actress she's just recently been doing short plays at the Soho Theatre. I worked with Kate many moons ago over at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. That's how I first met her.
You've had her in mind for the part for a long time.
Yeah, well, when I first wanted to do this production 4 years ago, we did an initial read-through, and Kate came and read for Anna for me, and it's just so lovely to have her part of it now, all those years later, that we're still doing it, and Kate's there, because she's just perfect.
Yeah, she couldn't be more perfect.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think now. Nigel Thomas, who plays Sammy Sachs. Nigel, again, has got a varied career. I worked with Nigel a while ago in a musical at Leicester Square Theatre called Toxic Bankers. It's very successful, and Nigel is also a musician, a recording artist, DJ,
club promoter. So he loves the world.
Absolutely, many strings to his bow. I'm just trying to think now. And oh my God, Lisa, Jamie, Kate, Leanne. I have to count now. Ralph, David, Christopher, Marcus, and Nigel. Yeah, that's everybody. And then also I have to say as well, the team at the Leicester Square Theatre are absolutely phenomenal. All the technicians and the front of house staff and all the managers. Everybody is phenomenally supportive of what we're trying to do, and I couldn't ask more from a venue. They really do. Martin, the producer and the owner of Leicester Square Theatre, is just so wonderful to give us a space to experiment and allow us to do that. And we need this in London. We need this chance. And he really understands that. You don't know if it's going to work or not. But to give us room to do that and to play. And to be a full-on production that stands up for itself and finances itself. We don't have any arts funding. In the current climate with all the cuts, everything is difficult. We're noticing that the theatre world is slightly shrinking. So it's quite nice to be able to add to the world something and keep it moving forward. It's really great.
Tell us, how do you go about directing a piece as intricate as this, yet so different from traditional musical theatre, and with the cast that you have as well? What are some of the ways you went about doing that?
Preparation is the main thing. It's a lot of preparation, and it's the cast and the team that you surround yourself with, but also a bunch of professionals that are capable of discovery for themselves. I have an idea of what I wanted, but because of the way the show is, it's making sure that you have a bunch of people around you that understand that it will develop over the rehearsal period, over the previews, once the audience comes in. We got to a point where we're like, we need the audience now to tell us what's working, what are they reacting to. I think for me, it's about a team effort. It's being open and not too precious about what I wanted. It's making sure that everyone's sort of understanding what the piece is and everyone's willing to work on it and take it somewhere. So it's important for me to watch and listen and not to just dictate and completely direct and say this is what I want. So that was what was important in the casting process, is having people with the capabilities to do that. And luckily enough, and thank the universe and the power of Disco that all these people migrated to the project, because I do feel very, very lucky, and I'm not say that lightly, very, very lucky to have the cast and the team on the project. And it's been a challenge, a big challenge for such a small project, but I feel we finally got there, and I appreciate that everyone stuck with me through the highs and the lows of production, as it always happens.
There always are.
Always are. I don't think I've ever worked on a production without both. It's just the nature of it. But to stick with it and to stick with me is really important, and I'm completely grateful for it. And that's why I believe that the audience is reacting so far the way it's reacting, because it's a team effort and everybody wants to be there. So yeah, that's the most important thing.
It all sounds absolutely fantastic, guys. Most important information we have to have, above all else, to close us off today, is we need to have the information about where people can find the show. We've already mentioned, but more importantly, when and how do they get tickets? Let us know.
Here we go. You ready for this? A barrage of information. So it's Saucy Jack and the Space Vixens at the Leicester Square Theatre, which is in Leicester Square. If you don't know where it is, just turn up the corner from Haagen-Dazs. That's where it is.
That's right. Good place to start first as well.
It ran from the 1st of August. We're running now. We're open now and running right through to the 15th of September. And it's every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. You can buy tickets or book your tickets online at the Leicester Square Theatre website, which is www.leicestersquaretheatre.com, or you can call our box for office on 08448 733 433.
And the pre-show cabaret starts at 7:30 every evening, apart from Mondays.
Excellent. Gentlemen, I have to say, this sounds very exciting. Sounds absolutely wonderful. You sound very energetic and enthusiastic about it, which really, really helps. So, folks, do try to take a visit to the Leicester Square Theatre and see this phenomenal production. Thanks for speaking with me today, gentlemen.
So remember to come dressed up, look fabulous, wear your glitter boots, and live and die by the power of disco.
Thank you. Salute.
Salute. Yeah.
Yes.